What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American, here today to react and continue learning about mind-blowing facts about Canada, Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, feel free to go check that out, or stay right here in Part 2, that's perfectly fine as well. But in Part 1, I gotta be honest, I was a little skeptical of this title, Mind-Blowing Facts About Canada. But honestly, it has not disappointed, or at least these are strange, unusual, oddly gripping and interesting facts about Canada for sure. Some of the stuff we learned in Part 1 was kind of mind-blowing. One thing was smelling bad. Smelling bad is illegal in Canada. I assume they don't enforce that very strongly. I hope. I don't know for sure, but I had to Google it because I didn't believe it. But it's true according to Google. Like, it is a law, technically. So if you're visiting Canada, like, I don't know, put on a couple extra layers of deodorant or something, or you could end up in jail. In Part 1, there was also prairie oysters, which is some kind of Canadian food dish involving bull testicles. And what else did we have? Oh yes, Santa is Canadian. And when children actually send letters to the North Pole, they go to an address in Canada and might get a reply, and it's very wholesome. What else in Part 1? Hang a Larry? Is that actually a phrase in Canada? Hang a Larry means like hang a left, take a left. It's quicker to say left than Larry, but Larry is more fun. So do you prioritize fun or efficiency? I don't know. But either way, I'm excited here to finish this Part 2 and learn even more mind-blowing facts about Canada that I never knew before. So with that being said, let's take a look.
21. You won't find yourself bouncing around and floating off the ground,
Huh?
but if you remember to bring your bathroom scale to Hudson Bay, you might find yourself a little lighter than usual.
What?
That's because the gravitational force is very slightly weaker in this area. The bottom
I think I got thrown off ever since they showed that floating guy. Once they showed the floating man, I was like, what is happening? What am I getting into? If you go to Hudson Bay, you weigh less, or...
That's because the gravitational force is very slightly weaker in this area.
There's less gravity in Canada? In a certain part of Canada, less gravity. If you're on a diet, if you need to lose that extra pound, take your scale to Hudson Bay. That's amazing. That must have some kind of scientific background or something? Explanation?
The bottom line is that a massive glacier called the Laurentide Ice Sheet once compressed the mass of Earth beneath it, displacing some of the lands. This absence of mass has resulted in a lower gravitational force. 22.
Whoa. That's actually really interesting. I really enjoy this video. It's got some of the weirdest stuff in the best way possible.
Scotty, the world's largest T-Rex skeleton, was found in Canada's Saskatchewan in 1991.
Really?
It took paleontologists 20 years to prepare and complete the fossil, which was
Really?
revealed to the public in 2011.
That's awesome. The biggest T-Rex skeleton is in Canada? That's awesome. I had no idea. That's actually super cool.
23. Yonge Street in Ontario starts at Lake Ontario and runs for almost 2,000 kilometers all the way to the Minnesota border. 24.
Really?
London Zoo imported a bear cub from White River in Ontario in 1915. This bear from Winnipeg was the favorite part of the zoo for a young Christopher Robin Milne.
Oh.
This love inspired his father, A.A. Milne, who went on to write world-famous stories about Winnie the Pooh.
Right. Wow, that was inspired by a Canadian? Or at a Canadian zoo? Hold up.
London Zoo imported a bear cub from White River in Ontario in 1915. This bear...
I didn't know that was all inspired by true events in Canada. Wow. I feel like this is most of this video is me going, really? Wow. And I can't help it. This is like genuinely super interesting, very like fringe facts about Canada. I feel like there's no other possible way I would have learned this stuff. It's great.
His father, A.A. Milne, world's northernmost, went on to write world-famous stories about Winnie the Pooh. 25.
Wow.
The world's northernmost settlement, Alert Nunavut, is at the top of Ellesmere Island and is only 817 kilometers from the North Pole.
Wow.
This settlement is home to scientific and military workers. However, it is a temporary home, as in January the temperature drops to a low of negative 32 degrees Celsius, negative 57.6.
Oh my
26.
God. Yeah, it's like that's amazing that people even try to survive up that north. Sometimes I forget, and many Americans, I think, just how north Canada goes to. It's amazing. It's almost to the North Pole. I think he said like 800 kilometers away.
6. There is a polar bear jail in Churchill, Canada. It is for badly behaved polar bears who spend too much time in the town of Churchill.
Oh, see, this is just sad, man. Polar bear jail? I don't want to see polar bear jail.
Close by. The bears are hit with a tranquilizer dart and then carefully transported to the polar bear jail. They are tranquilized again and released.
What do you... Yeah, you take them to jail. They're wild animals, so they don't understand why they're in jail. I doubt they're being rehabilitated or learning their lesson. Do they go to little polar bear court with a little polar bear judge as well? Or I assume they take them somewhere else.
Released into the wild at the end of the season.
Released into the wild. Okay, very good.
27. The Whiskey War, also known as the Liquor Wars, was a pseudo-confrontation and border dispute between the Kingdom of Denmark and Canada over Hans Island. Between 1978 and 20...
Oh, I've heard about this. I know about this. At some point, I learned about this a bit. There's some kind of island, Hans Island, disputed between Canada and Denmark, but it's like a friendly dispute, right?
2022, the island was under dispute between the two nations. Although never amounting to direct conflict or
Yeah.
violence, eventually they signed a deal.
Okay.
28. After the signing of the deal, the foreign ministers symbolically exchanged bottles of spirits with notes attached to end the Whiskey War. The agreement means that Canada and Denmark should both plant their flags of the same color and on small but important island in the Arctic.
Okay.
29.
Okay.
One of the most
That's kind of wholesome. Yeah, for a while, didn't Denmark and Canada go back and forth? Either they were, like, they would take turns taking down each other's flag or something and taking over the island, and it was really more of a, like, all fun and games kind of thing somehow. Somehow it was, like, wholesome, and now it's just, like, a legally binding peace treaty, which is, that's nice, that's fun.
telling statistics regarding Canada is that the nation is so large, even their parks outweigh other nations.
Wow.
Just look at the Nahanni National Park Reserve in the Northwest Territories.
Yeah.
Not only is it a sight to see with huge waterfalls, it's also an impressive 30,050 square kilometers bigger than Albania and Israel. 30.
It's very easy to forget how freaking gigantic Canada is. And that's coming from an American, because America is gigantic. And so I think sometimes I get trapped in the school of thought of like, oh, we're gigantic. I know what big means. And it's like Canada, and I think only bigger than Canada is Russia, right? Then it's just Canada, second biggest. I think I know that one.
30. The only walled city in North America is in Canada. It is the beautiful city of Quebec. The French and then the
Oh.
English built up these walls and other fortifications during the 17th and 19th centuries. Quebec City is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the oldest cities in North America. It dates back
Yeah. A long while ago, I reacted to Quebec City. And it's really quite, like, lovely. It's a super interesting, like, old world feeling architecture. They have the walls and the cannons, and it's French Canada, which I'm not all that familiar with. And it's really cool to see, honestly.
to 1608 when it was founded by Samuel de Champlain.
Right.
31. Humans have been living in Canada for more than 14,000 years according to archaeological evidence.
Wow.
In fact, it's believed that humans came from Siberia and arrived in North America across a land bridge called Beringia, which existed during the Ice Age when sea levels were lower.
Whoa.
32.
Siberia. It's possible that the original Canadians from 14,000 years ago, cavemen Canadians, it wasn't even called Canada at that point, might have originated from Siberia, traveling, like, what, thousands of miles on, like, ice bridges, and that's all, like, fascinating and just kind of amazing what humans are capable of.
Canada holds the record for the coldest ever recorded temperature. The lowest temperature ever recorded was negative 63 degrees Celsius.
Wait, that's the coldest temperature ever on Earth?
Recorded temperature.
Wait, it was in Canada?
Lower. 32. Canada holds the record for the coldest ever recorded temperature. The
Coldest ever recorded temperature is in Canada. Not even like Antarctica or the North Pole. This is bringing, there's the stereotype here in America that Canada is always cold, that Canadians live in igloos, and I always try to be like the American who's like, no, I know better. Like, that's not true. But when you're telling me the coldest temperature on the planet is somehow in Canada, that doesn't even make sense to me, like geographically speaking. Maybe coldest recorded temperature. Like maybe they just haven't whipped out a thermometer in Antarctica, but they have. Why would it be colder in Canada than Antarctica? I can't wrap my head around this.
lowest temperature ever recorded was negative 63 degrees Celsius,
Oh my
negative
God.
81 degrees Fahrenheit,
Oh
back
my.
on January 23rd, 1885, at Snag, Yukon Territory.
Oh my God.
33.
What? Is that? If that's true, that's mind-blowing because I don't even understand it.
There are over 1,000 shipwrecks in Canadian waters, according to official records.
Wow.
Due to Canada's extremely cold water temperatures, high winds and waves, and heavy sea ice coverage, many ships have sunk without a trace, which has since become prime locations for scuba divers to explore.
Oh, wow. Canada waters are treacherous. Treacherously cold? That's kind of sad, but it's interesting. 1,000 shipwrecks. Man, and if you're going to be the scuba diver to go check that out, like, you kind of deserve it because you're going to freeze your scuba diving butt off down there.
34. Canada's national animal is the beaver.
That right there alone is shocking enough. Any American, including me for the longest time, would have told you the national animal of Canada is the moose. It should be the moose, darn it. And then it's the beaver, and I just couldn't believe it. And but beavers, they're cute, they're cool, they build stuff out of wood. But Americans associate the moose with Canada. I can't get over this still.
Why? Because the country was built on the fur trade, and the beaver was in high demand for its pelt.
Okay.
35.
Okay.
Canadians are known for their excessive use of the word sorry. So much so that in 2009, the Apology Act was passed to make apologies inadmissible in court. In other
That's not mind-blowing, actually. That makes sense. Canadians saying sorry, well known. Another stereotype that seems to have some truth to it. And apparently there's a whole law. Because if someone hits you with their car, like Canadians are so respectful and nice, if someone does something bad to you, as a Canadian, you might say sorry, even though you have no reason to say sorry. You're just trying to be polite or make the other person feel better. But saying sorry can be an admission of guilt, an admission that you did something. So they actually had to make a law about this. That is funny.
other words, apologies are an expression of sympathy rather than guilt or fault.
Sympathy, an expression of sympathy. In America, this idea does not exist. It's like, good luck getting a sorry out of Americans. If we say sorry, we mean it. We have done something horrible to you if we are saying sorry. It's not for sympathy. That is a very Canadian idea. Huh.
36. The Vikings, not the French and British, were the first to colonize Canada.
Wow.
Around 1000 AD.
Wait, the Vikings? The Vikings were the first in Canada? Wait, what?
Vikings, not the French and British, were the first to colonize Canada. Around 1000 AD, Leif Erikson led the expedition and settled in Newfoundland. This only lasted a few years, but made an impact on the Icelandic sagas and Inuit population at the time.
What? This only lasted a few years? There were Vikings in Canada? And then it kind of ended, and then it was just British and French, and I did not know about this. This is very interesting. Huh. It's also very cool. Viking.
37. The Narcisse Snake Pits of Manitoba is exactly what it sounds like, a pit with snakes that serves as a great attraction for tourists.
What? What do you mean? An attraction for tourists? This is a deterrent for tourists. This is a tourist trap, literally. What if you trip and get trapped in the snake pit? What? Is this really just a pit of snakes? You go to Like, look at, admire in Canada? Is this a thing?
Is exactly what it sounds like, a pit with snakes that serves as a great attraction for tourists. A lot of people get curious about the snakes and the events that take place at the pit.
No.
38.
No, what? What is this? What? Where is this?
The population at the time. 37. The Narcisse Snake Pits of Manitoba is
Manitoba. Manitoba. I don't know what's going on in Manitoba, but there's snake pits, and it concerns me. Okay, interesting and scary.
in 2017, to commemorate the 150th birthday of Canada, the Royal Canadian Mint released a glow-in-the-dark coin featuring a canoe on a lake with the northern lights shining above.
Oh, cool.
The colored bimetallic coin is charming in the daylight, but in the dark, the coin's northern lights emit a lifelike glow.
That's really cool, actually. Glow-in-the-dark commemorative Canada 150 coin. That's a really cool idea, actually, with the northern lights. I like that. Wonder if anybody has that. Like, I'm sure some Canadians still have this coin, right? That's cool. I'm jealous.
39. Canada's flag is called the maple leaf. The red and white were inspired by the flag of France, which many people in Canada believe they would see in upcoming battles because of their alliance with France during the 7 Years' War. 40.
Wait, what? Is that true? I thought the Canadian flag was made because of a contest a long time ago. Like, the Canadian government had a contest and a lot of people submitted like designs for the flag, and yeah, I thought that's what the Canadian flag story was. But the colors, were they chosen because of the French flag? Is this true? I did not know about this.
The red and white were inspired by the flag of France, which many people in Canada believe they would see in upcoming battles because of their alliance with France during the 7 Years' War.
I did not know that at all. Wow.
40. Canada has 5 oceans surrounding it, including the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Indian Ocean, and the Southern Ocean.
Right.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, that's the final fact. I didn't know that. I should just know my world geography better. Is Canada the only place that has 5 oceans around it?
Pacific Ocean, Arctic Ocean.
Atlantic, Pacific, Atlantic, Pacific, wait a minute. I need to hear this again.
Canada has 5 oceans surrounding it, including the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Indian Ocean, and the Southern Ocean.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Which
cool.
country would you like to see?
That was like that was like the most like school book technical fact at the end there, but it was still fun. This whole thing is fun, honestly. I really, really enjoyed. I was pleasantly surprised by this video. 40 mind-blowing facts everyone needs to know about Canada. Not every single fact was mind-blowing, but every single fact was like fun and interesting. And it's hard to be mind-blowing, and some of these were mind-blowing. Like, actually. I'm looking at you. It's illegal to smell bad in Canada. I'm looking at you. And this was by All About the World, to give credit to them, and I liked this quite a bit. That was fascinating and educational and just fun. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps about any of these facts if you thought they were mind-blowing, or any of these things you think aren't true, or if there are facts you know of that deserved to be on this list, or anything like that. That'd be fascinating to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.